basketball teams playing 18 games with CUSA titles and NCAA automatic bids on the line. Find out who's going to be putting on their dancing shoes. Tickets as low as $40. Visit Ticketmaster.com today to experience Conference USA Hoops in the Rocket City, March 11th through 15th.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well-trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
Rocket City, for air that's cool and clean, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Get HVAC smart with Professor Green and the expert team at sensagreen.com. Now offering up to $1,500 off any new Bryant system. Whatever it takes, Sensa Green has Huntsville covered. Remember, folks, with innovative, sensible green solutions, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by CB&S Bank. Bank anywhere, at any time with CB&S Bank's digital solutions. Managing your finances has never been so easy. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. Here are post-meet thoughts from Ashley Johnston following Alabama gymnastics Friday meet against Florida.
Yeah, I mean, what an electric night that was. I think we weren't sure what that energy, what that crowd was going to feel like going into spring break this week. And I thought it was awesome to see everybody really dial in, bring the energy, bring the investment to create what was a really spectacular night. We've worked really hard on starting strong as we go to vault in our first rotation. And we've messaged that a couple of different ways, from the fifth event of the night to just having a party. And I think the team did a phenomenal job tonight of really treating it like a party and creating the moment and only looking at the one thing in front of them and giving that everything they got. And I think we got a lot better in that tonight. And so from a team process standpoint, we're finding our groove. We're peaking at the right time.
I'll have more in a moment.
CB&S Bank has a long history of stability and a legacy of serving our community's needs for generations. You could say we know a thing or two about tradition. We've been family, community, and financially strong since we began in 1906. Being a team player is part of our culture. That's why at CB&S Bank, we're proud to sponsor the University of Alabama Athletics and prouder to take the field or court with you. Visit cbsbank.com today. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Join us tonight for Hey Coach and the Nate Oates Show, presented by Alpha Insurance, live at 6 p.m. Central at Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by CB&S Bank. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Oh, you think it's Scott and Drew, don't you? No, not this week. Our boys taking a dip in the pool this week up in Indianapolis. All sincerity, I really hope Scott is feeling better. He had something that disagreed with him over the weekend. Scott?
Well, Lord, I tell you that. Me too. So we were around each other. That's where I guess we got it then.
Oh,
we
boy.
both were.
Oh, boy.
We were both a little under the weather. That makes me feel somewhat better in a way. Like, how did this happen? Well, I hope you're feeling better too, Scott, because I spent the weekend
How are you feeling?
Pretty dang good, actually.
Gee, I wonder why.
Thanks to Mark Sears. But I will say this, in all honesty, in all sincerity, it's so great to have Dick Vitale back. Okay, thank goodness, thank God. I mean that he's getting healthy. But Dick, stop trying to get on a plane to Chapel Hill, North Carolina. The best college basketball game of the year, not just of the weekend, just happened in Auburn, Alabama. And you know me, you watch a lot of basketball. I watch a lot of basketball. I watched Carolina Duke after Alabama Auburn.
Yeah.
There was no comparison in the two games. None.
I didn't get to watch.
Zero.
I didn't get to watch the North Carolina Duke game, but did watch a little bit of the Alabama Auburn game. And I could even tell in the first half that was a high level deal.
I mean, I'll just be honest with you. Alabama and Auburn can beat Duke. Okay. Now, I mean, I know
Auburn did not beat Duke in the regular
season. And Dick Vitale brought that up, that Cooper Flagg should be National Player of the Year because, Duke beat Auburn, yada, yada, yada. And I understand that. And I everybody knows I like Duke, and I was wearing Duke head to toe on Friday.
Yeah.
And Cooper Flagg is the hell of a player. But after what I saw on Saturday, Auburn is, I still think, one of the top two teams in the country. The other one would be the Gators. And in the SEC.
Yeah.
And Jonai Broome should be National Player of the Year. I mean, I know he had a couple of, games that were not up to his standard before the Alabama Auburn game, but he had 34 points.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy was unreal. So to me, and is Cooper Flagg the better pro prospect? Of course he is. He's 18 years old, but I don't care. I mean, Jonai Broome did it in the best league in the country. ACC sucks. Okay, let's just call it like it is.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina is not any good. Alabama hammered them in Chapel Hill. Have they improved some since Alabama hammered them? I guess so. But look, Steve, I mean, they still lost by double figures to Duke.
Yeah.
I mean, they were up 5 in the second half, and Duke turned it around by about 20 by the end of the game. I mean, it's kind of like what Jay Billis and some other people said, like, look, they're going to have an ACC tournament. It's in Charlotte. But, and they were going over scenarios of what Carolina had to do to get in the tournament because that loss was very damaging. I think they're 1-11 in quad one opportunities. So they're going to have to win the ACC tournament or at least get to the finals. And guess what? With the way the bracket shaped up, they got to play Duke in the semifinals. So,
oh boy,
and the opinion was it doesn't matter where they play. We've already seen it played in Durham, and it was a scrimmage. And then we saw it played in Chapel Hill. Was it harder? Yes. But it was still a one-sided Duke win. So Duke would very likely beat them 3 times. So and now North Carolina might get in because it says North Carolina on their jerseys.
I think Jay Billis said it best when I heard him on his last call. And it was something to the effect of, I'm going to look forward when the SEC doesn't have to play itself. And it's called the NCAA.
That's what I'm fascinated by. Because I'll be honest, I've been pounding the table, and I like to pound the table, as everybody knows.
Careful now.
Well, this is pretty sturdy. I mean, now we do have it fixed. Now it looks pretty. Good job by Grumpy and all those guys, man.
Yeah,
it's now it hasn't been painted yet, but I mean, they fixed everything. Pretty nice echo here.
Come on now.
But I mean, but I had 11 teams getting in. I had your Dogs being the 11th. And I just wasn't sure anybody else would be able to get enough wins. I thought, okay, Georgia, Vanderbilt was 10. I said Georgia will be 11. I just wasn't sure that they would. But now, after what we saw this weekend, I honestly think, and I just said this on another radio station coming in this morning, they asked me, how many do you think they're going to get? 13. I mean,
Lenardi's latest bracket does have 13.
Arkansas, because they ended up, they navigated it. I thought when Arkansas laid the turd at South Carolina, they might be done.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yep.
And then I was like, well, Calipari, they're going to play themselves off the bubble and then on the wrong side of it. But they finished with 2 straight regular season wins. And that I thought that was huge. I thought they got both of those, including one on the road at Vanderbilt that I didn't see coming. I was like, wow, they beat Vanderbilt. Then they almost blew it, but they found a way to hold on for dear life against Mississippi State.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, that gets them in. And then I just felt like Texas and Oklahoma was an elimination game. But if Oklahoma won and got to 19 wins, they got 6 in the league. I think Oklahoma is very likely going to get in and be that 13. Now, they might be playing in the first 4, but I don't really think Porter Moser will give 2 rat craps about that because he's trying to hold on to his job.
Yeah.
So I think right now, 13 teams, Texas is going to have to win 2 to 3 games in Nashville.
Ooh, they start with Vanderbilt, by the way.
That's brutal. That's brutal right there, Steve.
And if they were to get past Vanderbilt, they've got Texas A&M. So I'm telling you.
Think they hate each other?
That's going to be a tough deal.
I'm sorry, Buzz Williams versus Rodney Terry. I know who I'm taking.
I do too. The guy that gives free journalism advice to the folks at Missouri as well.
No, and by the way, you're wearing your gear, your UAH gear. Congrats to them.
I am.
But we also know Buzz told us in a press conference in Tuscaloosa who he used to come see all the time. He would make when he was on recruiting trips, even if it was to Nashville or other cities, he would come see our great friend Lenny Acuff, who we all knew he was this
How about
good.
that? How about
watch every second of that game?
So
every second of it.
I had a chance to there was a lady next to me watching the game on her laptop, and I kept leaning over, and she finally looked at me and said, "You don't understand. I've got a lot of vested interest in this one right here." And then so she just kind of turned the laptop more towards me, and I was, boy, that was nip and tuck there for a while.
It was.
And all of a sudden, I just J.O. being J.O., just doing his thing yet again for Lenny. But, really happy for Lenny Acuff in that regard as well. But
we had him on a couple weeks ago, and he told me basically that Joe Anderson, his point guard, was a really good player.
Yeah.
And I thought, now they did a pretty good job, on the big man. But
it's
Obdanovic.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Ognanovich.
Obdanovic.
Yeah, Jacob Ognanovich.
Obdanovic. He's the player that he's like Coach told us. He's one of the top 3 players in the league.
He was the player of the year simply because Lipscomb got the 1 seed.
Had
UNA got the 1 seed, it would have been Sha'Carri Lynn.
Yeah, but Obdanovic is a really good player. He got off to a good start. They actually did a good job on him. But, Lenny used to always tell me this when UAH made their Elite 8 runs and made runs to host regionals and won GSC regular season and tournament titles. Drew, guards win.
Yeah.
That's what he always used to say.
Yep.
And so,
how's your guard play?
Yeah, but Joe Anderson and then Will Pruitt.
Yeah.
He always talks about
he's been
Will
there forever.
Pruitt, and that Will Pruitt made some unbelievable plays in the second half, getting to the free throw line, making threes, making tough plays. All I kept thinking was, I know who's sliding right into Will Pruitt's spot next year.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
So,
yes,
and now you'll have to replace Joe, but still, all the tough plays that Will Pruitt was making, all the gritty stuff, I was like, well, he's already recruited my guy Riggs, a.k.a. J.D. Gossett, to play that spot next year. So everybody that hates Will Pruitt, you'll hate J.D. Gossett too, unless he's on your team. Then you'll love him.
Coming up on the program today, we're going to talk some Auburn and Alabama basketball. Coming up in hour number 2, Nathan King from 247 is going to join us. He's still with 247.
Yeah, he's
okay.
Auburn.
These guys change so much. That's why. No,
Chris Lee,
nothing against you, Nathan King.
No. Chris Lee did this to me. Now they have their Southeastern 16. Now they went from 14 to 16. Everybody knew that.
Have to, because
for 22 years he was with Rivals, and I had not checked it for a couple weeks. I had him on. He goes, "Oh, by the way, we've made the move to 24/7 Sports." Whoops, sorry, my bad, dude. Bandy 247 now for Chris Lee.
It felt like some heavy lifting for Brian Pasnick as well over the weekend, because you could hear it in Chris's voice. He was also struggling, but I did text Chris and I said, "Hey, if you need someone to sub in, just let me know." And he said, "Not on your life." So, but you know what? I totally understand it. I totally get it. That's your deal.
It's been going around, folks. Yep. It's been going around.
That's what throat lozenges are for, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
256-576-4977, the telephone number if you'd like to participate. And if you did not listen to Chris's call, or maybe you heard the TV call.
With 14-7.
What do you think of Carl Ravitch?
Tied at
I'd rather not.
And it's Fightline with the ball. He knows wants the last shot. You don't want one early to let Auburn have a chance to throw one in. This week, Nashak won it for Tennessee. Is someone doing it today? Sears.
I wish they had just muted everybody but Dick Vitale at that point.
That would have been nice, wouldn't it?
And then just let Coach Vitale just take it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what a play by Sears. They did a great job defending him, even with Denver having a bad wheel. They did a good job, as a team, but Denver still did a nice job too. But Sears stepped up when he had to. When he turned the corner, I was like, oh man, he's going to get a pretty good look at this. I thought
it was going to be contested, and it was to a degree.
But Mark made a good decision. I mean, you shoot a floater, and then to me,
I love how Coach Oates owned it afterwards as well. That's a kid just making a play right there. Yeah. I had nothing to do with that.
Of course, Sears is like, I think it was a good play, It created some confusion, and then Coach Oates is like, thanks, Mark, appreciate that. But I just thought overall, once Sears got a step, shoot the floater, and if it goes in, there's going to be no time or very little time left for Auburn to be able to do anything. But God, first of all, I credit Jonah Broom, because when Alabama did not get the rebound because Pettiford missed a rare three, a tough shot, and Alabama, Cliff Amore did not get the rebound, and Auburn ends up with a second opportunity and hits the three. I'm thinking it may go to overtime, but at least Alabama was able to get a good look at it, and they didn't need it to go to a second OT. They needed to get out of there with a win. I thought Alabama deserved to win the game. Mm-hmm. I thought they outplayed Auburn for the majority.
I thought both teams.
But Auburn was a bunch of warriors. I mean, Jonah wouldn't let them go down without without a fight.
That three in the corner there from Broom, cold-blooded.
I mean, he made a couple of them. I mean, he ended up with 34 points.
Yeah,
Cardwell did a great job defensively. And Denver Jones gutted it out. He played 30, plus minutes, 35 plus minutes in the game.
Give me more of that, please.
I mean, it was high level. I mean, that's what it was. It was two great teams going at it. Don't get misunderstand anything. Auburn very much wanted to win that game. They wanted to cut the nets down. They wanted to celebrate winning the SEC championship.
But they didn't even cut the nets down.
No, they didn't, because they lost the game. And again,
which I've got a little bit of a problem with. The kids earn that opportunity. I get it that you lost the game. I get it that it's your rival. But these are memories that the kids are going to have. Listen, I understand cutting down other nets are more important, but they earned the right to do that, and you said no to that.
Here's what I would do if I were Bruce Pearl. I mean, he's done a great job with his program. In the aftermath of those seniors' final home game and not winning it, I understand that. There's a lot of upset people. Mm-hmm. And then I also think it showed respect to Alabama in winning a very tough game. But I would not have a problem at all if you come back on Sunday and you have a ceremony with just maybe the students, let the students in to Neville Arena, let any supporters in for free, and do just a separate net cutting situation where you're celebrating winning the SEC regular season championship.
Just let the kids have their moment. It
gives the kids the moment, and then it allows you to decompress from losing the game.
But I mean, you're talking about bringing in everybody on a separate day. Just go ahead, and I get it. You want to cut down nets after a win. I understand that.
Right.
But they earned that right, in my opinion. They earned that right. And so the other caveat that I want to get to is the fact that the only way we're going to see Auburn, Alabama Part 3 would be on Sunday, Championship Sunday. I'm all about it.
Well, I'd be all about it. But I also have to be objective here. And I was asked earlier this morning, who do you like in the finals and who do you think is going to win the tournament?
I have no clue.
I picked Auburn, Florida, with Florida winning again and cutting the nets down, because I think Florida's playing the best basketball right now. Would I be surprised if Auburn won? Absolutely not.
So Bama fans, the bracket came out.
Yeah.
And I know you're completely shocked at who the 6th seed is.
Right.
Kentucky.
We'll talk to Passing about this. They always got to go through Kentucky. And that's not going to be easy either. I mean, Andrew Carr's coming off his best game. He had 16 and 12.
How many brackets is this? It feels like every year Alabama gets matched up with Kentucky somehow. Yeah, although Oklahoma, Georgia plays Kentucky, so they've got to get through one of those two teams. Man. To me, they are better than Oklahoma and Georgia.
I think they are. No question about it. And then, Lamont Butler's going to be healthier. He's never going to be 100% the rest of the season.
Yeah.
You're not going to have Jackson Robinson. But I thought that was one of the, besides Alabama winning at Auburn, the other biggest win of the weekend to me was I thought Kentucky going to Missouri and winning. I didn't see that happening. I thought Mizzou would handle business at home.
I did not know that.
Mizzou got handled. Kentucky basically almost led wire to wire.
Wow.
They did a great job. Like I was saying, Andrew Carr played exceptional. I love Amari Williams. He's a matchup problem for you because he's such a great passer inside for them. Yeah, they pretty much handled Missouri, and Missouri had only lost one time at home, and that was on a last-second shot to Texas A&M all year. So I thought that it was very likely that Alabama might see Missouri, in that 6th seed and get a rematch with them after getting whacked in Columbia. But they're going to see Kentucky. I don't think they've ever beaten Kentucky 3 times in 1 year. I don't ever remember having to play.
First time for everything.
Yeah, I mean, they played them twice in the regular season, but now they'd have to play them in the tournament. We'll see. But certainly, I do think I would favor Alabama in a 3rd time, but Kentucky's good.
Yeah.
I mean, Kentucky's going to be – I still disagree. Jeff and I got into it on Friday because he thinks they should be a 3 seed, and I said 4 through 6, and then he accused me of saying 6. I said 4 through 6. I still think their ceiling should be a 4, unless they go on a run. Now, if they go to Nashville and they get to the finals or something, I ain't got no problem with it. But I'm just saying a top 3 seed. But again,
any day one team that can make a run.
But I will see.
I don't see it. I really don't.
But and we all know that
maybe Vanderbilt.
Probably now at least 60% of the arena, if not 70%, will be Kentucky fans by that time of night. There'll be some Alabama fans there, but they'll be outnumbered. But I mean, look, this is the way I'd equate it. Alabama played better on the road than they did at home all year. So I don't think Alabama's going to be afraid to play Kentucky.
Your top 4 seeds that get the double byes are Auburn, Tennessee, Florida, Alabama. Auburn, the 1 seed, Florida, the 2 seed, Alabama, the 3 seed, Tennessee, the 4 seed.
Yeah, right.
And then the day 1 games, the first one, you're going to hear all these games right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, beginning with South Carolina and Arkansas at high noon on Wednesday. Texas and Vanderbilt 30 minutes after that game. And then the evening session will start at 6 o'clock with LSU and Mississippi State. And that'll be followed by Oklahoma and Georgia. And then we roll into day 2. So should be a lot of fun to follow. Again, big congratulations to Lenny Acuff, earning a spot into the big dance for Division I as Lipscomb downs UNA. And listen, I know there's a lot of UNA supporters in our listening
and we
area.
love them.
Absolutely.
I wasn't rooting for anybody yesterday. I was just hoping.
Well, I was rooting for Lenny.
I was, but then I was rooting for Jakari Lane too. I mean, how can you not root for Jakari Lane and Tayfield? I'll be honest. I was hoping, and Lenny wasn't hoping this because I know he was probably, he just so glad he and his family to win this game. Yeah. I wanted to see, one of the 2 teams hit a buzzer shot and have it be one of the all-time. And it looked like for, about 35 minutes, that's what was going to happen. But give Lipscomb credit.
Well, Lenny,
they were the best team in the league, and they systematically pulled
a guy
away.
That used to be on his team eliminated him. What was that, last year or 2 years ago?
A couple years ago, I think.
Okay, but I mean, he's kind of been through it, and he's got a really good team. Team.
I mean, he's done what he did UAH. Now
I really hope there may be like a 12 or a 13 seed and not a 15 or a 16.
They're definitely not going to be a 16. And probably not a 15.
Yeah.
When they won, I started thinking 13 or a 14.
I was thinking 12 or 13 in my head.
I mean, if Jeff wants to be a 3, just let Lipscomb play Kentucky, beat Kentucky, send that ass home, beat them like 90 to 87, and then there you go.
But I mean, Kentucky handled them pretty good earlier in the year, but I'd sign up to see that again. I'm not sure Lenny would be all that excited. Well, I bet he was excited.
I just watching the emotion yesterday and the post game, some of the stuff I saw. I just think he especially when he hugged his father. I think he's just This is the big look. This is the pinnacle in his profession.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, now he did make it to the national tournament at UAH, but I'm just talking about the big dance on the Division One level.
Yep.
This is the pinnacle
It really
in
is.
his profession.
No, absolutely. On the subject of the Chargers, the women played really well yesterday.
Salute.
I'm telling you.
Why are they only a 6, though? I want to ask that.
I went over and watched it with both teams last night, and that was one of the first things that Coach Sharp came up to me and said, thought we'd be a 5, but yeah.
I thought maybe 4 or 5.
But they ended up being the 6th seed, taking on Nova Southeastern. That's a tough matchup. Nova's a very quick team, but we'll see how it matches up. Those games will be at Union.
Right.
The Division II bracket was released last night, and men's side, yes, indeed, they are the 2 seed. And what to me is the hardest region of all of the regions, because Nova Southeastern, who's won 81 games in a row on their home floor, will host it, and the Chargers get ready to take on Tampa right out of the gate. So
I haven't checked. I know a couple years ago, Nova went undefeated and won the national championship.
They lost in the national championship game last year.
They did. I knew that. Yeah. They almost defended their title, but they lost.
That's right.
So what is their record this year?
I don't have that. I think they lost one game this year, and it was to Palm Beach Atlantic.
Okay.
So I'd like to believe it's kind of close to what the Chargers are at 30-1.
I get, and I guess the tiebreaker is they beat the Chargers.
Back on November the 8th.
Yeah.
Back on November the 8th.
Yeah.
I know it's 7:23, and I can feel Scott tapping me on the shoulder right now saying, it's 7:23. You haven't gone to a break yet, but
we're doing the Ryan Fowler. We're just blowing through breaks.
Let's go ahead and take our first time out. You good with that, John? You good? All right. John's on board with it, too. We'll take your phone calls on the other side, beginning with Mark. We got a couple of lines open at 256-576-4977. It's Talkin' Ball right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
They have cleared that wreck southbound on the Hudson Memorial Bridge. Traffic's moving okay there. Still may be working a wreck in Limestone County, 99 near Dupree Hollow Road. Had one on Greenbrier Parkway in the 6600 block. Had a motorcycle involved. They reported injury, but they canceled Himsey. And one in Priceville in Morgan County, 67 and Thompson Road. No hose, no mask. Dr. Sandman has the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. You can call Dr. Sandlin at 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead ran away and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day. And when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us. Smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
Listen to UAH Charger basketball all season long.
So when we came out of the timeout, Coach Hedge had initially called a man play, and they ended up faking a zone. So the whole bench was yelling zone, zone, zone. So we tried to switch the play last second, we ended up getting confused. So Tommy swung it to me, and I initially was like, all right, I'm going to try and get to the rim right here. We're only down 2. We don't need a 3. And he flipped his hips real hard, and I tossed it back. And as soon as I let it go, I knew it was in.
Campbell to plug it in. 81-79 Union. Inbounds it goes. Dribbling it out from Tommy Murr. Swings it over to Campbell. Campbell on the wing for the lead. Oh, my God! Blake Campbell! It's a 3! Into the front court for the win! No good! No good! No good! Blake Campbell with some onions from Jackson, Tennessee!
97.7 ESPN The Zone. Sports Talk 24/7 365. Your full-time sports station.
You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work.
Is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Doesn't anyone do any work around this joint anymore?
Hey, good Monday morning to you. We went through that first segment, Auburn fans, without me playing this.
Well, they'll have Blood, Sears, Nelson, and Holloway. Could it possibly be an unbelievable script? Phylon will bring it ahead with 12, with 11. Phylon, front court at 10, 9. Phylon at 7. Phylon at 6. Phylon at 5. Over to Sears at 3. Sears at 2. At 1 for the win. Ball game. Ball game. Ball game. For the win.
There you go. There's the final call. My apologies to the Auburn faithful out there. I don't have Andy Burcham's call, or else I'd play that as well.
It wasn't nearly as excited. I could say that Andy could kind of see what was unfolding in front of him.
But Andy has had plenty of exciting calls. Both had 2 fantastic voices that we have here in the state of Alabama with Andy Burcham and Chris Stewart.
And I'll just say this. We had a listener that texted in during the break and was like, would Steve have given Mark Sears some onions on that shot?
Probably.
Absolutely. The Bill Raftery onions, without question. But it was a great basketball game. 2 outstanding teams. It validates what I've still been thinking, even with Alabama's struggles down the stretch. Nobody played a tougher stretch of 7 games than Alabama against 7 straight opponents. But Alabama is a top 8 team in the country. I don't think there's any question about that. Now, we'll see how they do with their draw in the NCAA tournament. Yeah. But I'll be honest, I'm going to call it out. If Alabama doesn't at least make the Elite 8, it's a disappointment. I think they're that good. I think they're good enough to where they can get to the Elite 8. Then it's matchup situation.
I think this team is better than that number 1 overall team that they had, 3 years ago?
Well, it was, I mean, it's almost 3 years now because there's a year Brandon Miller. Now, with Brandon Miller healthy, I don't know. I mean, I might disagree with that because I think they were a little bit better defensively. But this team,
that's really hard to judge.
But this team is better offensively.
Yeah,
they have so many more weapons
and
they're deeper. I mean, it's the deepest team and here's going to be the fascinating thing because he warmed up, went through some drills, did not play.
Tell me.
If you're going to get Darion Reed back into this thing, it's got to happen in Nashville. Yeah. And so he could be the 10th guy. And then if Jaron Stevenson's not playing well, then here comes Darion Reed.
Yeah.
To me, if you're going to get him back in the lineup, this is when you do it.
256-576-4977, the telephone number. Let's start things out with Mark from Spring Hill. How are you, Mark?
Hey, I'm doing real well. How about you guys?
Doing well, Mark. How are you doing?
Good. It was a great win by Alabama for sure. The only thing that was, I think, why Pearl didn't cut the nets down was his fans were out of control. I mean, I've never seen. Now, you didn't see the water bottles. My brother was at the game.
No, I didn't. Wes was at the game. I look forward to talking to him about that.
Yeah.
You saw towels, of course. About 30 or 40 of them right behind the bench. But I haven't seen that in this rivalry. And, that's just like, I don't know. Your thoughts on that? I mean, also there was a report that one of our players got hit in the back of the head. It got missed. Yarborough, I think. I don't know. I just think there's no place for that. So they get the dunks of the weekend award for me.
Well, I mean, the Alabama fans were, they threw some things on the floor, during the Auburn win a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Well, even Bruce Pearl mentioned about that as well, of let's be classy.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce ran out on the floor and basically told everybody to please stop throwing things.
Yeah,
I mean, he tried to diffuse the situation. It was unfortunate. I saw the towels. I didn't see the water bottles either. I heard somebody talking about that. I mean, trust me, I don't like that. You don't throw things on the floor.
No.
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it was a great college basketball game. Both teams have great teams.
Yeah.
You don't Auburn, and then the taunting situation kind of cracked me up too, with Auburn getting so irritated about Grant Nelson doing the crane kick.
Yeah.
Well, Auburn's done that to Alabama after beating them a bunch of times. And like a friend of mine, Joe Corona, said, and Joe wouldn't mind me using his name. He's a fixture on social media. He coached for Wimp Sanderson and was a part of that staff and coached in the CBA. Well, I mean, Auburn block shots. They point to the ground. They do all kind of histrionic things. You know what I'm saying? They've taunted Alabama as well. Both sides talk. Okay, both of them do. Does that make it right? No, but I don't think it was some dastardly thing that Grant Nelson did, where he did the crane kick. I mean, he was asked about it. He said it just popped right into my head.
And Chad Baker-Mazara being Chad Baker-Mazara.
I mean, Chad Baker-Mazara, really good player.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate that he can't control his emotions. And he didn't hit Chris Youngblood in the head once. He hit him twice in the back of the head with an elbow. And then they tried to say that he hit Chad Baker-Mazara in the stomach. Look, Chad Baker-Mazara flopped. He barely got hit. The guy's a turd. Okay, let's just call it what it is. He's a great player, a really good player. I think he can really play. I think he could play in the NBA, but he's an instigator. He's just one of these guys. He can't control his emotions. I mean, he's crucial to their success. I mean, Bruce Pearl said so after the game.
Yeah,
He's like, we've been talking to Chad about this. If Auburn's going to have a chance to go to the
team with Chad Baker-Mazara.
No question. If Auburn is going to cut the nets down or go to the Final Four, he needs to be on the floor. He's got to control himself. And then teams are going to bait him too, because they know it now. Because the officials, it's like Dennis Rodman. It's like Rick Mahorn. It's like all those guys. They start looking for it.
Yeah.
So Chad's going to have eyes on him. And I mean, he doesn't have to act that way. He's a really good player.
He is.
I mean, I really like his game, but I'm also not going to pull punches on this show. And I'm going to, and again, he's got the resume now where it's no question about it, his reputation.
Yeah.
And I mean, because when I saw them review it, and because I saw Youngblood on the floor, I was like, what happened this time? And then you look at it, you're like, that is completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Why are you even doing that? And you talk about taunting. He was yakking the whole time, and when they beat Alabama, he was waving goodbye and everything else. He talks to every team, and not just Alabama though. That's his deal.
Yeah,
he talks to every team they play. Well, it works both ways, bud. So get your ass out.
Jeff, the floor is yours, sir.
What's up, Jeff?
Hello, guys. I was gonna say, pretty good weekend of basketball.
No question.
Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for the Huntsville invasion this week?
I mean, I think it's going to be a great tournament, man. I mean, and I think both of them will be. I think we're looking forward to Conference USA. No question about that. I think Middle Tennessee, your university, I think they're going to travel well. They traveled well last year. Probably the favorite on the women's side. The men's, I think the men's side is wide open. It was wide open last year.
It certainly was.
I mean, the three seed Western Kentucky won it. So
yeah, well, they're going to be the 3 seed in the middle, but yeah, they sold their Middle sold their whatever allotment they got the conference all the same, but they sold their allotment of tickets. So whatever tickets they got allotted, they sold them, sold out of them. So I know they told people that they can get tickets, I think 2-3 different ways if they want to still go down there and watch. So I don't even know how many each school got, whatever Middle Tennessee got, they sold out of their allotment. So they sold out of them. So I don't doubt that. They're going to have. It's a close enough drive. So I wouldn't worry about it. Them having the family fans, or especially the women's team, they have a good fan base. They draw anywhere from 2,500 to the low end. They can draw up to over 4,000 a game up here in Murfreesboro. So that's not the issue as far as having fans. I know and stuff. they're going to have fans that are just a matter of them. It's a matter of them playing well because they know they got to win the tournament. And just like, I don't know, Matt McDevitt, Enzo tells his kids all the time, don't leave it in the committee's hands. Don't leave it in their hands. But he knows this year they've got to win it. I think Conference USA is a one-bid league, unfortunately. I mean, that's just the way it is. And whoever wins the tournament is going to go. I mean, that's just the way it is. But, as far as Nashville, I mean, Kentucky got the 6th seed. It doesn't really matter. I mean, they're going to have to play and do what they got to do. Everybody does. So, I mean, you just got to go play and do what you have to do. And if they got to go, through Alabama or whoever it is, they got to go through them. I mean, you're going to have to play them eventually anyway. I mean, that's just the way that it is. I mean, Kentucky's going to have the fans down there too. So, I mean, and the more they win, the more fans they go have. Just like when they were on probation in the 90s, I'm sure the conference lost money because they couldn't be in the tournament. So, if the further Kentucky goes, the more fans are going to be there. I mean, that's what the conference wants because Kentucky's got the best fan base of anybody in the league. Everybody knows it. And they, I mean, people don't want to admit it, but you can do what you want. I mean, they got the best fan base of anybody.
It's a shame Alabama hasn't sold out every home game, and that Auburn hasn't sold out every home game.
They have. They still got the best fan base. I don't care what they do. They still got the best fan base in the league. They'll travel to Tokyo Dome to watch him play. It don't matter where they play at.
They will travel. They will travel. Yeah.
Wherever it's at, I don't care what the game. Maui, Hawaii, it makes no difference to them. Because like Calipari never liked conference tournaments, but these fans save up all year long to go to this tournament. They save up all year because they can't see them play. Some of them
certainly not saving up to go to Kentucky football games.
This is their vacation time. They save up all year long to do it. So I mean, we might not be the number 1 seed or whatever, but we still have. We probably have, if we don't have the most fans there, it'll be second place. I can guarantee you on that. So you can do what you want to do. You can laugh all you want, but hey, we still got the history, and we're the best of all time.
Was I laughing?
So y'all have a good weekend.
I didn't realize I was laughing right there.
No, they're great. Now, if they lose, Jeff didn't watch it. It's amazing. Now, if they win, he can tell you, where there was a spot on a jersey, and and he can quote like a play that was made within the first 5 minutes, and then exactly what spot on the floor it was. It's kind of interesting there. But and again, that's going to be a tough matchup if Kentucky wins their first game. I mean, but there's no guarantee because
they're
Georgia's already whacked that ass one time.
But they're clearly the favorite, in my opinion, to meet up with Alabama.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're going to have the crowd, but let's not get it twisted here. If Georgia,
I just meant the team. I think the Kentucky team.
Oh, I mean, they're going to have they'll have the crowd advantage, especially considering that Tennessee is in the other set in the morning afternoon session.
Yeah,
a lot of them are going to leave, so. Kentucky fans will start getting there for that second session because they clear the arena. I've been there enough, man. Even when, like last year, Kentucky didn't win a game in the tournament. They lost, but guess what? They lost to Texas A&M, but the crowd was 90% Kentucky fans.
John, does this show still have 3 breaks or 2 breaks? Am I blowing through a break? Did I blow through a break?
We usually
in fact, you changed this whole show up, but it's all good.
Yeah. Can
you tell I'm used to a certain format?
Yeah, it's all good.
So let's go ahead and take our second time out of the morning. My apologies.
Yeah, we usually go about 15 to 20, and then maybe 35.
I felt God tapping on my shoulder again, saying, you got and 3 breaks and not two breaks there.
So we actually have one more break after this. We might have to have a shorter segment.
Well, I may go in there and pull a little magic here for this first hour. Let's go ahead and take our second time out. Jay and Pat from Tuscaloosa, you're on deck, and we'll get to you next right here on Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Not a bad night across North Alabama, Southern Middle Tennessee Tuesday morning. Looks like many of us are going to start the day in the upper 30s and lower 40s. That's okay because we're going to do a really good job at warming up Tuesday afternoon. We get to enjoy plenty of sunshine, and temperatures have absolutely no problems climbing into the lower 70s. We cool off into the upper 30s, lower 40s as we head into the overnight, but then once again, temperatures are going to climb into the 70s across the Tennessee Valley. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a wreck on the south side of Decatur, 31 in Poole Valley. I don't think it's got injury. Had one on Greenbrier Parkway in the 6600 block. Had a motorcycle involved there. They reported injury, but they canceled HIMSY. RESPECT is coming. Shoal Scholar Dollars is bringing the celebration of music of Aretha Franklin to UNA on Monday, March 31st. Tickets at shoalscholardollars.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title. Because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal, and we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beebs likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
We are your home for March Madness.
30 seconds to go. We're tied at 90. Here comes Suggs. Long 3 for the win.
We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It is a Monday morning here on Talkin' Ball. Full head nod there from beyond the glass.
Here comes the sun.
Don't forget the Blitz follows this very program with John and Joe, or Joe and John, whoever wants to take over the lead there. We're going to talk some Auburn basketball at the top of the hour. Nathan King set to join us, but right now your phone calls are the feature at 256-576-4977 is the telephone number. Now, I did get a couple of people telling me I say that too fast. 256-576-4977. Jay is up next. Good morning, Jay.
Morning, guys. How are y'all this morning?
Doing well.
Jay, how are you?
Good. First off, Steve, congratulations, Coach Hedspeth and the Chargers. what a great game, what a great season, and hopefully they can continue it on in the tournament and just keep winning because those guys are something to watch, and it's a special team.
There is no doubt. It's been to say it out loud, 30 in a row. 3-0. 30 in a row.
Once again in the championship game, Blake Campbell. Could he be player of the week?
He's tournament MVP.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So I did get tournament Blake showed up. All right.
Yeah.
So
as soon as he made the step back 3 late, I was like, well, he's going to be MVP of this tournament. So maybe he could be player of the week.
Well, you also had a dunk early to just say, all right, boys, let's hop on and let's have at it.
Now, Drew, where do you rank this buzzer beater besides the Antoine Petway putback or the Colin Sexton layup in the SEC tournament?
Oh, this one's number one. Just simply because
over the Sexton?
Really? I know Sexton meant getting to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Petway's won the SEC
That'd be
championship.
first on my list.
But this is Alabama-Auburn.
I get that.
Auburn's the number one team in America.
Well, what's it about? It's about getting to the dance. It's about, dancing.
And this sent a message that Alabama's still here. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I looked at it because
that's fair.
Because this Auburn team has been so good all year long and been the number one team in the country, and they still probably are. But again, I just felt like this winning it like this could be hopefully a springboard for Alabama to maybe make a run in Nashville, get a high seed, and then do some damage in the NCAA tournament. All three of them are unbelievable, and all three of them have their significance. But I just think with this one, because I'll be honest, Alabama blew a big lead in that Texas A&M game. They were supposed to win that game. Sexton saved their ass because Avery Johnson, great guy, couldn't coach a lick. And then I'm not going to pull punches. Avery was really good to me, but I've already gone on record many times saying this. He was not a great college basketball coach. And then with Petway, it meant so much. That was that 2002 group. But they didn't finish strong. This could be the impetus for Alabama finishing strong. And that was a really good Florida team, but it wasn't the number one team in the country like this Auburn team. And with a home court advantage like they have, they'd only lost to Florida, who's another top 3 team in the country. And it made Nate Oates 3-3 in the jungle. So, you know what I'm saying? So I just think it was a huge statement to say this. In other words, to me, this game and how it ended said that right now, Alabama and Auburn is better than Carolina Duke. Yeah. Who cares what everybody? I don't care what Dick Vitale says, and I have so much respect for Coach because he's the reason I watch college basketball. But I'm sorry,
he's going for more of the tradition.
Everybody's going for the tradition. It's not tradition right now. The SEC is the best league, and Alabama-Auburn is the best rivalry. Period. End of story.
Jay, you got anything else for us, Jay?
And just one little thing. And Drew, Aiden Terrell's been playing here lately. Needs more minutes. Grant Nelson, if he plays like he did Saturday, him and Cliff Amore, man, they could win this tournament outright. But Steve, appreciate y'all taking my call. Have a great rest of the day. We'll
absolutely.
We need to cut it out too. Like after about the 6th or 7th dunk with Dick Vitale, that's Amore. That's Amore. Dick, he's going to be going crazy.
Pat from Tuscaloosa, how are you this morning, sir?
What's up, Pat?
Good morning, sir. Man, I just can't get over. Instead of Coach Pearl, what we call him, Coach Weiner. Coach Weiner, that I mean, he deserves that. Hey, when he was whining about that half-baked crane, kind of looked like a war chicken to me, to be honest with y'all.
Well, like I said, it was one of those things where it was just an emotional game. People were claiming that you could read Pearl's lips, and he said, that's our celebration, which is not. It's Alabama's. They've been doing the crane kick for a while. Look, was it taunting? Yes, probably. But look, guys taunt each other all the time. You could call it technical.
There is so much chirping that happens on the court.
Both teams were talking, okay? Look, there's no question about that. And when Auburn beat Alabama, they rightfully did. They led wire to wire. They taunted Alabama and waved goodbye. I mean, everybody saw that. Chad Baker-Mazara was talking, and that's fine. They won the game. They deserved to win. Alabama deserved this one. So, it's always tough when you lose an emotional game like that, but both teams still have a ton to play for.
I got chirped at I got chirped at the team hotel. This was heading into me going up to my room Saturday night. I ended up on the elevator with with half of the Valdosta State men's team.
Interesting.
They looked at me and said, "So you're with them, aren't you?" And I said, "I sure am. Looking forward to round 3 tomorrow." And I said, "Oh, okay.
Well, take your L and go home."
Hey,
that's all.
Guys, before I go,
this
but
ain't
the fact
football.
that Pearl cannot control his team, that was and had it just been one elbow, that's fine. But he threw 2 elbows on one play.
He did. He rightfully got ejected. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I'll be honest with you, I've been critical of the SEC officiating. I thought for a high-level game, it was pretty well officiated. And then Auburn can't complain because somebody pointed this out. After Chad Baker-Mazara got ejected, there was about 10 minutes and 30 seconds, 10 minutes and 40 seconds to go, Steve.
Yeah.
They did not call one foul on Auburn until 1 minute left in overtime.
Wow.
So you can't say a word about the officiating.
Hey, you guys have a blessed day. Then let's get ready for this SEC tournament. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Pat. Brandon. Good morning, Brandon. How are you? Brandon.
What's happening?
What's up, man?
Yeah, but Bruce Pearl said that the game wasn't officiated right because they didn't call enough fouls when Jonah Broom was in the paint, though.
I mean, Jonah Broom got a lot of, I didn't think, to be quite frank, I thought he did a great job scoring in the paint. I didn't think he got knocked around and there was a ton of contact. I thought he just did a good job spinning, giving Alabama the business. He had a couple fadeaways. He was just really good. Hit some hooks. I thought when they got him the ball in those pin downs and you run in their flex stuff, they just did a good job of executing. I didn't think that that they got away with a bunch of stuff. That Alabama got away with a bunch of physicality. I thought Alabama was physical, but I thought Auburn, a lot of the time, especially when they were getting it in the paint, they executed well. I mean, I'm sorry, but you can't complain about the officiating when you didn't get called for one damn foul for over, for over 10 minutes of game time. When you talk about the 9.5 minutes or so of regulation and then 4 minutes in overtime, and you're not called for one foul, so you can't complain about the officiating. Take your L and go home.
Well, he's over there sweating cholesterol, crying about people doing crane kicks. Well, I guess it's only okay for him to do it up and down the court after the game's over.
I mean, I respect Bruce Pearl. I think he's a hell of a coach. He's done a hell of a job at Auburn. They got a great team. And it was a great game between two Goliaths this year in college basketball. But the whining about the officiating is total BS because Alabama played through some of it. And again, I thought Alabama was the more aggressive team at times. And I think Coach Pearl admitted that after the game. I mean, Alabama played very aggressively, and that's the only way you beat a team like Auburn. And then except for one game on the road all year, that's why Alabama's been good on the road. Now, they didn't finish against Tennessee, but I thought for 39 plus minutes, they were the better team. The only game I've seen Alabama all year, and trust me, I've watched them all. The only game where they were the punch E instead of the puncher was Missouri. Mm-hmm. They got down 12-0 and then basically had to fight uphill the entire game. Mizzou was absolutely unreal that night. But other than that, Alabama's played really well on the road.
Well, and I feel like, and I'll say this, and people may disagree with me, Grant Nelson showed up finally. I feel like for a long time he's been weak in at
He's been injured.
I'm glad
he's been injured.
He's been hurt, Brandon. There's no question
not to say that he's fully healthy right now.
Yeah,
but he's been.
Well, Brandon, they're like last year. You didn't know until after the season he had a sports hernia that he played with for half the season. He's had some injuries. I think it's like upper body stuff.
Yeah,
but he's definitely been hurt, Brandon. I misread Grant Nelson last year. I thought at first he was a little soft. He's just really a tough kid who plays through a lot of stuff.
He's been hurt.
And he's been hurt.
Well, they keep saying he's hurt. And I'm like, well, what level of hurt is he? I mean, what's going on that he's not been able to perform?
Well, that's why they have that chart in the hospitals, because everybody's pain tolerance is different.
He can play hurt. He's not injured.
Yeah.
It's not like an season-ending injury like Houston Millett, like Wright. So he's just hurt.
Yeah.
He's banged up. But he played his butt off on Saturday. And then they need that Grant Nelson the rest of the year. They need the March Grant Nelson.
And that's why they need Reed back. If they get Reed back, then saddle up. I mean, that to me is a difference maker right there.
Right.
Agreed. Well, the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game was played this weekend.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
That's sweet.
Yeah, those guys that were calling that game talking about Ace Austin, yeah, they got a little introduction to what she can do. And when you see that little 5'7" girl jump like Spider-Man, knocking them, and then they're talking about her throwing 80-foot rope from one end of the court to the other end of the court, cross corner, and they're talking about her vision to see the court and what she can do. Yeah, and she wasn't doing that against some of these milk can teams and tomato cans that are in the 1A. She was doing that against some of the best players that Alabama and Mississippi have to offer.
Yeah, she was. No question.
And then your guy from Huntsville, he was tearing it up too.
JD, I know he had a good game. Yep.
Yes, hell yeah, he tore it up. He went out there and showed everybody he's got a lot to offer too.
I'm telling you.
I think that I'm good with the SEC tournament. Let's just add 2 rounds to the NCAA tournament and go on. I've already seen all these teams play, and I don't need to see it again. Beating Auburn a third time is not going to help us win a national championship. I mean, a second time isn't going to help us win a national championship.
Well.
So I'm good with them just doing away with the tournament and whatever. Roll Tide.
Justin, we are just flat out of time here this hour.
Call us back second hour, brother.
But we've got a couple of guests coming up next hour as well. Nathan King set to join us. Justin, if you'd like to call back in, feel free to do so. 1 hour in the books here on a Monday. Nathan King joins us next.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. AI-powered betting models to help you make sharper picks during March Madness. Free 7-day trial available now at rhythm.com. That's RITHMM.com.
Atlanta Braves hosting the Rays in Grapefruit League baseball today. The Braves are the $1.62 favorite, plus 136 for the Rays. Southeastern Conference Tournament quarterfinals on Friday, the opening game for Auburn and Alabama. Tigers a plus 150 favorite to win the title. Alabama plus 425. Arkansas State and Troy meet for the Sun Belt Conference Tournament crown today in Pensacola. The Trojans are the 1.5 underdog against the Red Wolves of Arkansas State, 138.5 the total. The TPC Sawgrass hosting the Players' Championship this week. Scotty Scheffler, the plus 360 favorite. Rory McIlroy, 8-1. For more, go to VSIN.com.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. Their locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Hour 2 brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. They invite you to give them a call today at 256-881-5151 to experience the SportsMed difference. SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, dedicated to providing care that improves lives. Drew DeArmond, Steve Moulton here with you on a Monday morning. Regular season is officially done in the Southeastern Conference. On the men's side, you're saying you can't hear?
Okay,
how about now?
There we go.
All right. You good now?
Yeah.
And we got treated to yet another iBob that is a very memorable Bob, to say the least. And the Auburn Tigers certainly deserves that number 1 overall seeding. But
yes,
I did want to play this part of the press conference leading into our interview here from Bruce Pearl.
Well, we didn't cut nets down tonight, and we didn't have a celebration because, you know what? We lost the contest. We won the championship last Saturday. We celebrated some last Saturday in Kentucky, as a team, as a family. And I was really proud of those guys. And you saw when Tennessee hit that shot at the buzzer, our guys were all on the bus and they celebrated. Right? Winning championships are things that you're going to celebrate your whole life. Never going to get taken away from you. But obviously that's a rear view mirror thing. Sure, I'll say 5 different teams in the last 8 years have won championships. 5 different teams.
How about that right there? 5 different teams. It is amazing what Bruce has accomplished down there on the Plains.
Tremendous. I mean, he's completely transformed Auburn basketball. I've said this. What he did the first 4 years in Auburn led to the hiring of Nate Oates because they feed off of each other. Alabama was treading water. And Bruce Pearl was taking control of the SEC. Alabama had to go out and make a Nate Oates level hire because you want to compete with your rival. They feed off of each other. To me, it's the best rivalry in college basketball right now. I don't care about Carolina and Duke. I think Alabama-Auburn or Auburn-Alabama, however you want to say it, is the best rivalry in college basketball. That was the one thing about the broadcast that bugged me is they kept talking about Carolina and Duke. That's the JV. Who cares? The varsity is Alabama-Auburn, and we're going to talk about it with our next guest. He was there on press row. He does an amazing job covering Auburn athletics, especially basketball. Right now, they're concentrating on that because of how good this team is. He's been on the entire journey with the number 1 team in the country, and he's been kind enough to join us once again this morning, and that's Nathan King with Auburn Undercover, part of 24/7 Sports, and he's now with us. Nathan, you're with Drew and Steve Moulton sitting in today, but how are you doing this morning, sir?
I am doing great. Excited to be officially in the postseason. How are y'all?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great way to put it. But I mean, look, you were there, man, and I was not. I was watching on television, but I saw the entire game, start to finish, and then I watched Carolina Duke. And I'm sorry, but it just doesn't compare right now. Alabama Auburn is a higher level game than Carolina Duke.
I mean, it is. North Carolina being down this season obviously had a little bit to do with that. But look, these are the 2 best Auburn and Alabama teams in quite some time. When you measure up by the regular season, obviously both of these teams have Final Four appearances of late over the last 6 years. Obviously Alabama's was very recently last season. But look, Nate Oates said it after the game, talking about the potential for Alabama to get some wind back in its sails. He was saying, if this team can get back on the right track, this is better than last year's team, and that's a team that made the Final Four. And so, and I think some really interesting parallels you can sort of draw here at the end of the regular season for both of these teams. Alabama was in a quote slump, but they had played incredible teams, 2 of which were on the road, and you lost at home to the number 1 team in the country, and now you get an opportunity to maybe come out of that a little bit with this win. And then Auburn on the other side, I mean, this is their first losing streak of the entire season. It's the first time they've lost consecutive
That's
games
a great point.
all year, and some people kind of acting like the sky is falling. But at the same time, they've played 2 teams last week. Texas A&M is going to be a 3 seed. Alabama is probably going to be a 2 seed. And so there's really no shame in losing those games. But at the same time, similar to how Alabama was before this one, Alabama, sure, you could say, they played a bunch of good teams, no shame in losing that. Well, that didn't make it feel any better that they were losing. And so Auburn is in the same position. You're obviously one of, if not the best team in the country going into the postseason, but you're now going into Nashville feeling like, hey, let's get back to our winning ways. Let's get some wind back in our sails. And, I don't think this team lacks for confidence at all. But I think it would be nice for them to pick up a win or 2 in Nashville just to honestly get the taste of a losing streak out of their mouths, something they haven't had all season.
Nathan, I'm not sure exactly how to word this question, but I'll just say Chad Baker Mazzara. Go.
Yeah, that's fair. That's probably the best way to go about it, right? I mean, look, the the number to look at, guys, he has been called for a flagrant or a technical in 6 of Auburn's last 10 games.
Wow.
So that, I mean, it's when you say, and that's right. So you just point out numbers, right? You don't try to make an opinion any one way or anything like that. But you cannot argue it's a trend. Look, I think the thing that hurt Auburn the most. Well, I don't think I know it from what Bruce Pearl said post game. What hurt Auburn the most is just being down a guy, being down a starter.
Right.
Denai Broom played 43 minutes in this game. I mean, that's ridiculous. Miles Kelly played 35 minutes. Todd Pettiford played 34 minutes. And look, those guys maybe can move around positions, but I think nothing hurt Auburn more than the fact that this was their 3rd straight game, guys, without a full lineup. And that's something that I think needs to be noted going into the postseason. This Auburn team has not been completely there. They've not been completely available. They beat the doors off Kentucky, but they didn't have Denver Jones for a lot of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Then they didn't have Denver Jones against, and obviously Todd Pettiford stepped up to the table in that game. But what if he hadn't? It might have been a little bit different of a story. They missed Denver Jones at Texas A&M. They missed his defense. I think they missed Chad Baker-Mazara's defense in the second half against Alabama. I really do. When Alabama was clicking offensively, you kind of saw it with that last play with Mark Sears. It was a lot of, hey, should we switch? Should we not switch? Yeah, they're dangerous, right? They're one of the best offenses in the country. You don't know whether you should stick at the 3-point line and defend those shooters, or obviously they were driving to the basket with 52 points in the paint. Having a 6'7" guy who's probably the second best defender on your team, that's going to help a little bit. And so I think, the psyche of it overall is something that I'll be interested to hear from Bruce Pearl. How does he handle this? Because it is a little bit different than what we've seen all season. It's not just a technical and it's not just, maybe a flagrant that, look, I think Chad Baker-Mazara has been unfairly whistled a few times this season, but I think more often than not, it hasn't been unfair. And this one was certainly not unfair at all. And so this is the first time since Yale that he's been ejected from a game. Now, some people have said, oh, you got to sit him for a game. Well, that doesn't help. That doesn't help the argument of you missed him on the floor if you purposely take him off the floor. I don't think that's the answer at all. But it'll be interesting to see what Bruce Pearl says. And again, you heard from Denai Broom. This was really one of the first times a teammate has talked about it very much. And to be fair, he was asked about it. But Denai Broom said, "Look, we want Chad to do better for the team and do better for himself. It's not about what other people want you to do. It's like, hey, you're affecting the team. And like I mentioned with those numbers, 6 out of the last 10 games have given free opportunities to the opponent. And going into the postseason, it's just something that's impossible to ignore for this team right now."
Well, I mean, Bruce has done very well in the SEC tournament. He's won it twice. He's made deep runs on multiple occasions. I think they're going to try to win this. Your thoughts on their mindset going in and what he may try to do, because I thought his comments after the game about Chad Baker-Mazara were interesting. They want to. I think I wouldn't be surprised if during this week of prep, because you get nearly a week, they've got to get Denver healthy. But I think there's also probably going to be some sit downs with Chad Baker-Mazara to try to get everybody's mind right.
I completely agree, and that's the benefit of having this time right now. That's probably the most important thing of this entire week is the days that Auburn is not playing a basketball game is probably the most useful thing for them right now. I'm not saying they're tired. I mean, goodness, that was a high octane game. They didn't look gassed at all in that one. But I think against Texas A&M they did. Bruce Pearl referenced, he said Denver Jones is playing on a bad wheel. So that ankle, I don't think he's 100%. And so they'll look to continue to get him healthy. And look, a lot of their shortcomings of late, if you can, again, I don't think the sky is falling by any means, but it's kind of simple. You look at defense and rebounding. That's really been the thing for them the last couple games. And how would you describe how to make those things better? I think a lot of those two areas just come with effort. And it's easier to have more effort when you're not so tired and it's not the end of a regular season. And so that is the most important thing. But yeah, you mentioned like Auburn's success in the SEC tournament, their mindset. This is an interesting one for them. This is an interesting SEC tournament because although they are the top seed and although they are going to be a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament regardless, and maybe they'll be the number 1 overall seed regardless, I think they take a bit different of a mindset than maybe we even expected a couple weeks ago, just because of this losing streak, just because of a couple losses. I think this is a team that's, I don't think their desire is to send a message about how dominant they are or remind people how good they are. I don't think that's it. I think they just want to go win. I think they just want to get a win. They want to feel confident about the way they're playing overall. But I think, there's probably 3 or 4 things on your checklist this week. Defense and rebounding is 2 of them. Getting healthy, staying healthy, getting rested is probably the biggest thing, because at the end of the day, guys, as we've seen time and time again, and I'm not trying to write off any sort of result from the SEC tournament, but it's not really going to matter. If you have the right mindset and you're a mature enough team, which I think this team is, it's not going to matter. They can go one and done, and they should have the team that's going to go back, regroup, get some rest, prep for the NCAA tournament, and try to go in there and go in with a bang and make the second weekend. We saw it last year where they got on a roll and they obviously won the tournament, won 3 games in 3 days. Maybe they exhausted themselves a little too much before they had to go to Spokane 2 days later. I don't know. You saw Alabama was one and done in the SEC tournament last year. They got bashed by Florida in that game and turned right around and made the Final Four. And so I think if you're a good enough team, now if you're a team that needs some help in the NCAA tournament, like an Arkansas or a Georgia or somebody like that, getting on a little run here could really help you, probably really help your confidence playing against NCAA tournament caliber teams. But I would be surprised if Auburn comes out flat in Nashville. I think there's no precedent for that. They didn't come out flat against Alabama. A couple razor-thin margins could have changed the result of that game, obviously. And so I would be very, very surprised to see them, go one and done. But at the same time, it would not be the end of the world for this team. But carrying 3 straight losses into the NCAA tournament would be, again, it'd be unfamiliar territory for them. And I think that's something they definitely want to avoid.
This dance here with Chad Baker-Mazara is really intriguing, of just at what point do you he clearly adds a lot to this basketball team.
Really good player.
But this is just repeat offender after repeat offender. That's what makes this fascinating to me, Nathan, more than anything moving forward, because this is a one and done season now moving forward. And you're judged. We all remember Yale. I
think this may be a blessing in disguise, honestly, with what happened in the Alabama game, because
do you?
I do, because what I mentioned to Nathan about having a sit down, and they've all been, Nathan, I think you'll agree with this. This team, Auburn, I know they want to win this SEC tournament, but when that NCAA tournament starts, they all remember what happened last year, and they all want to do what Virginia did. They want vengeance, I would think.
I think so. I think that's been part of the theme for this team. You've actually seen a couple opposing coaches even mention, like Virginia. They mentioned Purdue.
Right. Purdue year. Going to the finals, yes.
Yes, and then went to the Final Four. Like mentioning just kind of that different gear and different mindset you have when everyone talked about that Yale loss. They had the score plastered in their building when they started practices in the offseason. Like it was something they definitely wanted to remember, because they remembered how painful it was. And so I think Drew, I think you're right. Like it maybe is a blessing in disguise for it to be at this point. I saw some people on our message board talking about that. Like while Alabama was painful, and look, the thing is, like, you had more than enough opportunities to win that game without Chad Baker-Mazara.
Right.
Like I could probably name 6, 7, or 8 opportunities you had to win that game without Chad Baker-Mazara. Heck, a split second of defensive confusion between Denver Jones and Miles Kelly is why Mark Sears had that lane to the basket. And that was a split second thing. And so, obviously razor thin margins when you're talking about an overtime loss. But yeah, I think probably it was better this time than, and even if it had been like at the SEC tournament, you maybe would have felt like, you're right on the doorstep of March Madness. You're getting a little iffy. Look, I think the thing with Chad Baker-Mazara, obviously he's an experienced guy. I think he's somebody that has I think the biggest thing here, he has a tremendous relationship with Bruce Pearl. And over time, that trust has been built because Bruce Pearl hasn't gone and smeared him through the mud, right? He's actually defended him more often. It's been kind of, it's been eye-opening how much Bruce Pearl has sort of gone to bat for him. And there's been times this season when he's been, tagged with fouls in games and flagrants and stuff like that. And Bruce Pearl will completely take his side after the game and even, throw a jab at the officials. It's to a level where I think it's because now you have that trust level. and now you have gone to bat, and he knows you're his guy if you're Bruce Pearl and Chad Baker-Mazara, to where you can sit down and say, look, man, this is what we need from you. I know you're capable of it. Let's go do this thing. And you can have that sort of, very, very transparent, open, and trustworthy conversation. Whereas, if all season long Bruce had rolled his eyes about Chad or talked down on him, that sort of thing, a la somebody like a Mick Cronin, like it could be a little bit different.
Yeah.
You could be in a different position right now. But I think, like you said, will they have, sit down kind of stuff this week? I don't know, but I think you can. Like you've afforded yourself that opportunity because of the relationship they have with each other.
Taking a closer look at Auburn's bracket, I would assume if you were to rank the 3 teams that could play Auburn, that the most favorable matchup would obviously be South Carolina. That's the 16 seed. Probably not going to happen. Let's go ahead and flush that. The last time you played Ole Miss, that was a 30-point beatdown. I mean, that.
Wow.
But in terms of matchups, Arkansas, that was a pretty tough game. I think that was like a 7-point win. But what's a better matchup for Auburn, Ole Miss or Arkansas?
Oh, it's got to be Ole Miss. I just think it's impossible to ignore. So here's a stat for you guys.
Okay, here we go.
Auburn's first opponent in Nashville last year was South Carolina, whom Auburn beat by 40 points in the regular season, 101-61. And there was all this talk, and understandably so, about, hey, it's going to be really difficult to do that again. It's difficult to beat a good team twice, and they just annihilated them in that second game. Auburn has played Ole Miss twice this season. They have won by a combined 40 points in those meetings. And so I just think if they get matched up against Ole Miss, and Bruce Pearl talks about it, it's all about matchups. I think, look, could Ole Miss win that game? Absolutely. They're a tournament team. And look, beating a good team 3 times is going to be really, really difficult. But I just think that's overwhelmingly the team Auburn would want to see. Arkansas's just got dudes, and if they're playing hard, that was that game in Neville Arena. Like Arkansas desperately wanted that game, turned into a defensive rock fight. Arkansas actually took the lead with like 3 minutes left in that game.
Right.
Auburn was able to make enough plays down the stretch, and you saw how hungry that Arkansas team was because they turned around and beat Missouri at home the next game. And so you could really tell how much they needed that for their tournament resume. And look, this SEC tournament is unlike any we've seen before where, and I don't know how much it's going to matter for a team's resume. Usually they try to tell us, and usually history tells us it doesn't matter that much what happens. But is this year different because of how good the league is? Like, could Arkansas get more firmly in the tournament? I think they are already, but like, could they get more firmly in the tournament with a couple wins? Could Georgia feel really good? Could Texas play its way back in with a run? Usually it doesn't matter, but when every game is quad one, like it's about to be for these teams, maybe that's going to matter a little bit more. So you definitely want to see Ole Miss, I think. Now, could they beat Arkansas? Absolutely. I don't think they played very well against Arkansas late last month in that 67-60 sort of a rock fight game. And so I would definitely expect Auburn to get to Saturday. I think they match up pretty well against those two teams. And then, look, probably if it goes chalk, Texas A&M or Tennessee waits for you on.
Give me Tennessee. I want to see another Auburn. Maybe you don't, but that thing at Neville Arena,
that was
when it was like, I thought it was going to be 10-10 at halftime.
But it was a great game.
I think that would be. I think Auburn would maybe want to see, and this is all we sit here early in the week and do hypotheticals. That's fun. That's fun to do. I think Auburn would maybe want to see Texas A&M because you just played them a couple weeks ago, or a week. You played them a week prior, and you're saying, okay, that was really bad. That was ugly. That was dreadful from a rebounding perspective. How can we get better, and how can we show that improvement quickly? How can we prove to ourselves that we can play a team like that and be better? I think they'd be excited about a matchup like that to go out there and prove, hey, that was a bad performance. We can do a lot better than that in a tournament setting.
Well, we're looking forward to the tournament. We're looking forward to seeing Auburn bounce back. We appreciate you and what you do for Auburn Undercover and 24/7 Sports. You do a great job of covering this team and giving us insight that we don't get anywhere else. But let everybody know how to follow you, and we look forward to seeing you in Nashville.
Yeah, for sure. AuburnUndercover.com. Like you said, Nashville's going to be a great time. Look forward to seeing you guys there. And we're going to have nonstop basketball this week. Really, really looking forward to it, going all the way into Selection Sunday. So keep it locked over at AuburnUndercover.com.
Nathan, that was a fantastic answer to a horrible question about Chad Baker-Mazara. So thank you for that.
Best way you could have done it. Best way you could have done it.
Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank y'all.
That's Nathan King. I didn't know how to word that question because the world surrounding Chad Baker-Mazara right now.
Or you just say the polarizing Chad Baker-Mazara.
I'm just telling you.
Really, really good player, man. They need him on the floor.
So Scott's tapping me on the shoulder saying, it's time to go to a break. It's way past time to go to a break.
Or as Scott would say, we've blown past it. We're way behind.
So we're way behind. So let's go ahead
John.
Let's go ahead and take our first time out here of hour number.
No.
Yeah. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Still showing that wreck indicator, 31 in Poole Valley, and had one on Greenbrier Parkway in the 6600 block. That one had a motorcycle involved. They reported it with injury, but it turned out nobody was hurt, so they canceled HIMSI on that one. 2030 Fast Track can make your clothes fall off. Greg lost 92 pounds in 6 months on the plan. A free quiz will tell you if it can work for you. 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
We aren't a winning school. We are a championship school, and we make legends. Join the Crimson Tide as they look to continue to rise to the top of the NCAA basketball mountain. Every game, all season, right here on your home for Alabama basketball. The Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Conference USA is bringing its premier basketball event back to the Rocket City. Don't miss the 2025 Conference USA Basketball Championships, March 11th through the 15th at the VBC Probst Arena, featuring 20 men's and women's basketball teams playing 18 games with CUSA titles and NCAA automatic bids on the line. Find out who's going to be putting on their dancing shoes. Tickets as low as $40. Visit Ticketmaster.com today to experience Conference USA hoops in the Rocket City, March 11th through 15th.
I'm here with Vice President of Mortgage from Bank of Frank Ewing, John Kendall. And John, if you're hearing this commercial right now and you're thinking of getting a new house, boy, oh boy, do you guys have a deal.
We do. It's a grant. $25,000 if you're a veteran, $20,000 if you're not a veteran. This can be used for closing costs, down payment.
Very simple. All you have to do is give Bank of Frank Ewing a call at
256-507-9180.
And how long does this process take?
Oh, it takes just a few minutes, maybe 15, 30 minutes on the phone. We'll send you a link and you fill that out in your own time. We'll approve you.
Who would not want $25,000 for a new house? John Kendall, give them the phone number and online address one more time.
256-507-9180 or at bankoffrankewing.com.
It's Bank of Frank Ewing giving you $25,000 for a new house. Bank of Frank Ewing in Hazel Green is an FDIC insured bank as well as an equal housing lender.
NMLS number 446707.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer again. Baumhauer's Victory Grill is extremely proud to have recently received numerous awards, including being voted best wings in the state of Alabama. Other awards received include Best All-Around Restaurant, Best American Restaurant, #1 Sports Bar, Best Chef, Best Wings, and Best Dining Experience. Thank you for 43 legendary years, and we look forward to providing you an award-winning dining experience at every visit. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hey, I'm on vacation.
This feels like vacation because it's March. This week is an awesome week on 97.7 The Zone.
I'm telling you, SEC tournament fires up on Wednesday, and it begins at high noon on Wednesday. By the way, today's forecast, 15% chance of rain today.
Right.
But a high of 69 degrees. I'm all about that. And low tonight of 36. But right now, partly cloudy skies as you're heading into work, and 51 degrees. Your odds-on favorite to win the SEC basketball championship, the Auburn Tigers. This according to DraftKings at a plus 150. Florida as at a plus 270. Alabama is third on the hit parade at a plus 425. Tennessee is at a plus 600. The teams, let's see here. Kentucky is next up at a plus 1,900. Then you got A&M, Missouri, Ole Miss. Boy, Ole Miss is really intriguing to me. They're at a plus 6,500. When they're clicking. But the problem is you'd have to beat Auburn.
Yeah,
that is, and that's what Nathan was just talking about.
Bad matchup, bro.
A really bad. Vanderbilt's at a plus 20,000. Wow.
Yeah.
That's Vanderbilt is a really good team that could go on a heater. Could. But if you're looking for storylines heading into the SEC basketball tournament.
I mean, I'm going to look at this. I'm looking at this tournament bracket right now, and I'll just say I don't think there's a team on the first day on Wednesday that can win 5 games in 5 days.
That was probably the big first, kind of a hallmark moment that I remember for Bruce Pearl was going through the tournament, albeit they didn't win on that Sunday, but winning to get to Sunday was
it's going to sound funny, but I think if there's one team that can do it, if they get Thero back, it's Arkansas. Because, I think they'll beat South Carolina. They could definitely beat Ole Miss. Nobody would be shocked by that.
But Auburn.
But if you upset Auburn, and like Nathan said, he's right. They had a slight lead, about a 1 or 2 point lead with 3 minutes to go. If you beat Auburn by that point, then you might be on, might have something. But I think it's very unlikely that they beat Auburn. But I think if you're looking at one team on the first day that could go on a run,
I would go Vandy.
Arkansas.
I'll give my Moulton.
I don't like the matchup with Texas A&M for them. I just don't.
Texas what I really don't like is, but Vandy's beating Tennessee. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
you just better be ready. Texas, they ought to come out with some sort of, desperation. Texas has got to win.
I've been waiting for Texas to show up all season long.
I read them wrong. I thought they were going to make the tournament, and now they've got to win 2 or 3 games. So
I think they have to get to the finals,
at least the semis.
Yeah.
So you've got to beat Vanderbilt, which means you've got to beat Texas.
Texas
A&M.
would have to beat Vanderbilt, A&M, Tennessee,
and I don't
probably
see
Auburn. And
I can't see Texas getting in now, but I will say this. I do think that the tournament is as deep as we've ever seen it. When you look at those second day teams, I think Texas A&M, they've been to the finals in the recent past.
Mm-hmm.
I think a couple years ago when they played Alabama, they can definitely make a run. I think they're dangerous because we've already seen what they did to Auburn when they're clicking. I think Kentucky and Missouri are both very dangerous because Missouri's not a great defensive team, but they're really, really good offensively.
Yeah.
And then Kentucky is not a great defensive team either. But when you have Lamont Butler back, the head of the snake, they're very, very – and then with Andrew Carr playing the way he did the other day, I think Kentucky can be – and again, one of the most underrated players in the league is Amari Williams. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Let's go ahead and take our next time out. We'll get the Alabama perspective on the other side. We Heard from Nathan King earlier this hour, and we'll talk a little Alabama basketball on the other side here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A fantastic Monday across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Temperatures going to climb into the mid and upper 60s. We should get to enjoy plenty of sunshine across the Tennessee Valley. We're not going to be too terribly cold as we head into the overnight, early into your Tuesday morning. Maybe grab a light jacket as you head out the door just in case. Otherwise, we're talking about some truly fantastic weather as we head into Tuesday afternoon. Once again, we get to enjoy plenty of sunshine across the Tennessee Valley. Temperatures have no problems climbing into the lower 70s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Still showing that wreck indicator, 31 in Poole Valley, and had one on Greenbrier Parkway in the 6600 block. That one had a motorcycle involved. They reported it with injury, but it turned out nobody was hurt, so they canceled HIMSI on that one. 2030 Fast Track can make your clothes fall off. Greg lost 92 pounds in 6 months on the plan. A free quiz will tell you if it can work for you. 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Conference USA is bringing its premier basketball event back to the Rocket City. Don't miss the 2025 Conference USA Basketball Championships March 11th through the 15th at the VBC Probst Arena, featuring 20 men's and women's basketball teams playing 18 games with CUSA titles and NCAA automatic bids on the line. Find out who's going to be putting on their dancing shoes. Tickets as low as $40. Visit Ticketmaster.com today to experience Conference USA hoops in the Rocket City, March 11th through 15th. Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title. Because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal, and we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beebs likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
Howdy, folks. Bob Baumhauer here. Whether you're planning a tailgate party at the game, cheering for your favorite teams at home, or at your local Baumhauers with your family and friends, we're here to make your football party legendary with our party-ready tray selections. From our always fresh buttermilk fried chicken tenders to the homemade Nana's chicken salad, and of course, our fresh, never frozen, award-winning buffalo-style chicken wings. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
From Coleman to Fayetteville and all points in between.
Son, pull the hammer back. Smokey's coming at you in a plain white wrapper.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It is Talkin' Ball here on a Monday morning. Scott Tyson's taking a dip in the pool. Well, announcing up in Indianapolis for the NCAA Spring Championships. That is why you're stuck with me Drew DeArmond, though, is here. And Drew, I thought very long and hard about how to intro our next guest.
Will inbound it. They'll have Thylon, Youngblood, Sears, Nelson, and Holloway. Could it possibly be an unbelievable script? Thylon will bring it ahead with 12, with 11. Thylon, front court at 10, 9. Thylon at 7. Thylon at 6. Thylon at 5. Over to Sears at 3. Sears at 2. At 1 for the win. Ball game. Ball game. Ball game.
Well, what a time to be alive when Alabama-Auburn is the best rivalry in college basketball, better than Carolina-Duke.
Clearly.
And it was clear if you watched both games that one was supremely, played at a much higher level than the other. Now, Carolina's a little down, and our next guest saw Alabama whip Carolina in Chapel Hill. But we know right now this is the best rivalry in college basketball. And who better than to break it down from a Bama perspective than the longtime color analyst for the Crimson Tide Sports Network? You heard their call on Saturday. You'll hear their call throughout their stay in Nashville. Brian Pasick. Brian, it has to be a good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Doing great. Had a nice little weekend. Had to work a little bit on Saturday, but sometimes
that's not work, man. That is not
sometimes
work.
You just got you got to pay the bills. So, sometimes we got to work on the weekends. Pretty good day at the office.
Poor thing.
No
Poor
question.
thing.
Well, what a bounce back, because it was a little discouraging. The Florida game. Florida's very, very good. Maybe they still may be the best team in the country, but Alabama didn't have the pop. I didn't think they had the intensity that we saw against Tennessee and against Auburn, where I just thought they played really high level basketball. But full credit to these guys. They didn't finish against Tennessee. They sure did against Auburn.
Yeah, listen, if you wanted to make an argument that Florida's the best team in college basketball, I would listen to you and I would not argue. But the same could be said for Auburn. I mean, I think those two teams are the best two teams in college basketball. And I would put Alabama right there when this Bama team plays their A game. They're not losing anybody, in my opinion. Now, what Auburn has done is they put their A game on the floor more consistently this year. They're a deserving number one, and I think the number one overall seed in the NCAA tournament. But with what Florida's doing right now under Todd Golden on both ends of the floor, they are right there. And Alabama, if you win on Friday, which is no given considering how good the SEC is, if you get another shot at Florida, I think that game would be for a number one seed. But, right now, I'm just going to enjoy what happened on Saturday. Got the double bye. It was a huge win against your arch rival on the road on senior night. They were going to cut down the nets and have a big celebration. Alabama ruined that for the home team. And it was an incredible game. Two high-level teams, national championship good, great atmosphere at Neville Arena. It was everything you hoped it would be. And as disappointing as the loss was against Auburn at home, and to watch them celebrate, to be able to return the favor in the last regular season game from an out of Alabama perspective was really sweet.
What was the biggest difference from Auburn to Auburn, the loss at home to the win on the road? What was the biggest difference in your opinion?
Well, I thought Alabama didn't play well in Tuscaloosa. Now, give Auburn credit. They had a lot to do with that. They're a great defensive team.
Yeah.
Some of the adjustments made by Nate Oates and his staff from that game to this game, I thought made a difference. He wanted to get out in transition, wanted to play with more pace. Defensively, even though Janai Broome had a career game and he was spectacular, I thought Alabama did a really nice job defending, not allowing too many open threes from their great shooters and rebounding the ball. And the game that Mark Sears played was one of the most mature games that I've seen anybody play. I mean, he's an All-American, your leading scorer, second leading scorer in the SEC, averaging just under 20 a game. He had 5 for the majority of that game and never pressed, took what the defense gave him. They focused on Mark, which is an understandable strategy on the defensive end, but he was able to find open teammates, had 7 assists, 1 turnover, and with the game on the line, you knew where Nate Oates wanted to go, and he delivered in a huge way. But to have guys like Grant Nelson and Cliff Amore step up, even Aiden Sherrill, who didn't play in the first matchup against Auburn, play the way they did, was great for Saturday. It was the reason why Alabama was able to win that game. But maybe more importantly, moving forward, to have those guys playing the way they did, giving them confidence and giving Alabama more than just Mark Sears living and dying with what he does on the offensive end. And not that Alabama's done that, but to have guys like Grant Nelson be able to step up, Cliff Amore play so well on both ends, and others make plays, I think is important for this team moving forward going into the postseason.
And I think, especially out of the last 2 weeks, I know it was a brutal 7-game stretch, but I think what we've seen, the development out of LeBaron Philon and what a steal he made, that was one of the biggest plays of the game to give Alabama that 85-83 lead. When he picked the pocket of another outstanding freshman into Todd Pettiford. And then what you just mentioned, Aiden Sherrill, his development, and then going into March and into the NCAA tournament, those 2 freshmen gaining the confidence that they have, Brian, we've already seen Grant Nelson last year do it. Cliff Amore is an experienced guy, but to have 2 young players like that, confidence is a big thing in basketball. That could really be a springboard for this Alabama team, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you on all of it. I think you could make the argument that steal and layup by LeBaron Philon was the play of the game. I mean, that was such a big play on both ends of the floor to be able to pick the pocket of one of the best freshman point guards in the country and finish to go up 2 in overtime. Such a big play in that game. And so good to see LeBaron and Aiden Sherrill, those 2 freshmen, playing by far their best basketball of their career. That's saying a lot with LeBaron, who got off to a great start. And this time of year, you see a lot of freshmen hitting the wall, and you see others that become sophomores and gain experience and start playing with confidence. And I'm thankful to report that it has been the latter for these Alabama freshmen, that they are gaining confidence. They look great on both ends of the floor. They know what they're doing, and they fit so well into this Nate Oates system, especially Aiden Sherrill at the center position, a guy that can step out, knock down threes. He's a better low post defender than I anticipated, and he's one of those Alabama guys, and there's been a bunch of them this year that had to deal with injuries, especially early, and it's just gotten better and better. And LeBaron Philon just does it all. It takes a lot of pressure off of Mark Sears, and it's why you can look up and Alabama goes on the road to beat number 1, and Mark Sears, one of the best players in the country, doesn't have his typical game scoring, and you're able to win because he doesn't have to do everything. You've got LeBaron Philon, you've got Grant Nelson, and this team is starting to look like a more complete team later in the season. You could say, okay, Brian, that is crazy. I mean, look at Alabama's record down the stretch. But you go back to the Kentucky and Mississippi State game, which I thought Alabama played as well as they have all year long in both of those games. And the Tennessee game for 39 and a half minutes was one of Alabama's best performances. You could go back and look at that. And even though it was a painful loss, that Alabama probably should have won, not only won that game, but probably should have won that game by 8 or 10 points. And that is a potential number 1 seed on the road. So we do get caught up, self-included, in the emotions of that painful loss. But you look up and say, man, Alabama played great in that game. And then against Florida, struggled. And out of the last 5 games, that's the one where Alabama has not played the way that you would want them to. Florida had a lot to do with that. The thing that I'm most surprised with on what happened Saturday in Auburn is you go from Wednesday to a Saturday, the fast turnaround. Auburn played on Tuesday. They had an extra day to rest and prepare. Alabama didn't. And they looked out of gas to me against Florida. Yeah. And I wasn't sure that they'd be able to get their legs back and be ready to play against the nation's number 1 team on the road. And man, was I wrong. And I was thankful to be wrong. They looked ready and fresh, and Grant Nelson, who was banged up and looked like he was running on fumes against the Gators, rose up and had maybe the highlight dunk of the college basketball season and looked like he had that pop and lift and explosiveness that has been missing from some of these players late in the season, which happens. I mean, it's a grind, and guys around college basketball are banged up and tired, and Alabama is no different. And when you add in the fact that they played the most difficult schedule to end the regular season in the history of college basketball, to be able to step up in that environment on the last regular season game against your arch rival was really impressive. And in my opinion, I was a little bit surprised by it, just based on how tired this team looked on Wednesday night. But happy to be wrong. It was an incredible high-level game. Both teams played well. Both teams competed at a high level. And fortunately, my favorite team got the win.
My apologies to my partner here to my left. He has a saying called death taxes and the Fife Red Devils. Well, I'm going to amend that right now and say death taxes and Kentucky in the bracket with Alabama. I mean, goodness gracious. But I will say one of the bigger statements out of the gate, I think, for Alabama happened at Rupp Arena.
Yeah.
So I think it lines up pretty well. What do you think about the draw?
Well, it's hard to beat a really, really good team 3 times, and Kentucky's really good. I mean, they're projected to be a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, and I assume that'll be who it is. But as good as the league is, Kentucky's got to win a game to get to Alabama in the quarterfinals.
Either Oklahoma or Georgia.
Yeah, 2 NCAA tournament teams. So that's not a given, but I would expect Kentucky to be there. And you know, if you're playing on Friday, you're going to have a tough game. I don't care who you are. This league is ridiculous, as good as it is. And Alabama has a history against the Cats in the SEC tournament. So, listen, it's going to be so much fun in Nashville. And starting on Wednesday, there's big games on Wednesday. We've really never seen that in the SEC tournament. But there'll be big games on Wednesday. Obviously, Thursday will be high level. And once you get into the quarterfinals and semis, it's going to feel like a national Final Four type atmosphere. So I can't wait to get to Nashville. A lot of teams can win it. Alabama's one of them, and should be a lot of fun.
And my final question, because he warmed up before the Auburn game.
Here it comes.
What if you're Nate Oates, how do you handle the Darion Reed situation? Do you try to get him back in the rotation in Nashville?
Yeah, if he's available, absolutely. And he's someone that can really help this team, especially on the defensive end. And in my opinion, he is what this team has needed over the last month of the season. Alabama's getting better defensively, but to have a versatile defender that can guard inside and out, that has the athleticism to finish on the offensive end. And Alabama right now is not a deep team. They were earlier in the season, but guys have been dropping like flies, and Darion Reed is one of those guys. And if he's available, he's going to get an opportunity to play. I mean, this is one of the most highly touted recruits in Alabama basketball history. And I think he would help this team in a lot of ways going into the postseason. So hopefully he continues to get healthy. The reports are that he is on the mend, and I don't know if that'll mean he'll be ready in Nashville or in the NCAA tournament, but I hope and expect to see Darion Reed in the postseason.
Heck, I'm just happy Chris gets a break too, because that post-game voice, boy, I mean, it was well-deserved. But, man, I could hear a little scratchiness there in the postgame.
He had to do baseball yesterday, too. He pushed through.
Oh, boy.
He did.
You got to fight through adversity. You got to fight through it late in the season. Who sounded worse in the postgame, Chris or Nate? Both of those guys didn't have a voice. They played hard on Saturday, both of them.
Yeah, they did. Well, great call, Brian. We look forward to hearing your call from Nashville. We're going to carry the entire tournament here on 97.7 The Zone, especially University of Alabama. We're home with the Crimson Tide, but thank you for the time, sir. We appreciate it.
Always enjoy it. Thanks, guys.
Let's go ahead and take our final time out. Tomorrow's headlines today comes up next right here on Talkin' Ball.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Still showing that wreck indicator, 31 in Pool Valley, and had one on Greenbrier Parkway in the 6600 block. That one had a motorcycle involved. They reported it with injury, but it turned out nobody was hurt, so they canceled HIMSI on that one. 2030 Fast Track can make your clothes fall off. Greg lost 92 pounds in 6 months on the plan. A free quiz will tell you if it can work for you. 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Tuscaloosa, we live by the blue-collar basketball motto.
Stepping back, deep three.
Hard work.
2-on-1, driving, stepping through, top shot, got it to go.
Teamwork.
Play the song for the champions of the Southeastern Conference.
Join us for every game right here on your home for Alabama basketball.
Listen to Alabama basketball all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that his mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
You guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Well, your tomorrow's headlines today, I'd like to feature the UAH Chargers for some obvious reason here on tomorrow's headlines today. Once again, dancing. Both teams dancing, as the women's team are the 6th seed, the men's team are a 2 seed, and both participating in the NCAA tournament. Congratulations to both Mick Hedspeth as well as Alan Sharp and getting their teams to the tournament. And now they got a shot. And there's a lot of people that believe that this is UAH's best opportunity at winning a national championship. And yes, Coach, I'm speaking it into existence yet again. But nonetheless, every time this team has been tested, 30 wins in a row now for UAH.
Well, I correct me. I heard you at the end of the broadcast. I think the only other UAH team to win 30 was K.O. Willis.
That's right.
Yeah. They went to the national championship game in NAIA, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So they have been to the national championship, but just not on the Division II level.
Correct.
I mean, if I will say this, if they can get out of it, and Coach Studeman educates me all the time about Division II athletics.
Yeah.
She always tells us, hey, the regional in softball is tougher than if you get to the national tournament.
Yeah.
If you can get out of the regional.
If we can get out of the South region, I mean, all Nova has done is won 81 in a row on their home court.
It's about time they lost. Okay.
Coach Crutchfield, I look forward to seeing you this weekend. Hopefully we'll be around till Tuesday.
You're one of
everybody's
them.
Everybody's already circling a week from tomorrow, which is the regional final. I would love to see it.
The collegiate version of Hoover and Huntsville.
The first game out of the season
Auburn.
was an overtime 1-point game.
Yeah.
Sign me up. Sign me up for that.
Awesome stuff.
You can also hear me later on this evening.
Steve's going to go get some coffee.
Yes, I am. I'm going to go take a nap. A true DeArmond nap.
Let's talk about the X's and O's of family entertainment. Every parent in Alabama knows the importance of being able to draw up an activity that'll get you out of the house for a couple of hours. But it needs to be affordable. It needs to be family friendly. Above all, it needs to be fun. Now, let's talk about high school sports. Bang for your buck, school sports provide the perfect game plan for your family. You'll enjoy all